Hey, Chicago, what do you say? It's the CHGO Cubs podcast presented by PointsBet. Use that promo code CHGO when you sign up to get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000. Luke Stuckmeyer, Cody Delmendo, and Ryan Herrera after the Cubs and Cardinals rained out, postponed in St. Louis. So now they will play a split doubleheader on Thursday. First game, 12:15. Second game, 6:45. A lot has happened, obviously, in the last 48 hours, and also a lot has not happened in the last 48 hours. A lot less than we expected. 1 less baseball game and 2 less trades at the very least. And we also, we'll talk about, lost a legend in baseball at the same time. So in that way, a very big day in the world of baseball. The Cubs also made a roster move. There were some moves going on with waivers as teams were trading guys away. There were some moves. The Brewers, looks like they're second-guessing one. We'll talk about that. And the Cubs have added Kerwin Castro, right-handed pitcher, claimed him off waivers from San Francisco.
Kerwin.
Kerwin,
yes. Kerwin.
100%?
100%. We were told that. Kerwin.
Because the pronunciation the Cubs sent out said Kerwin.
Yeah, I think it was an error. It's Kerwin. At least
okay.
what was adjusted.
Kerwin Castro.
Yeah.
Okay, so he is claimed off waivers. Thank you for clarifying that, Ryan. International free agent 2015, a converted catcher who had a little bit of success with the Giants at the end of last season. It appears then he hasn't done very well at AAA this year. Did the Cubs say any more about him than that, Ryan?
Well, we actually got to talk to him today.
Oh, cool.
Actually, the rain kind of started as we were in the dugout talking to him. He actually talked about how he trained. He's from Venezuela, so he's trained with Wilson Contreras in the past. They're familiar with each other. They've trained in the past together, and so he said he got DFA'd by the Giants, and then he got claimed yesterday by the Cubs. That was earlier in the afternoon, prior to the trade deadline. Obviously, he knew Wilson Contreras was on the Cubs, so he kind of was like not anxious, right? Because it's not his career, not his future, his career. But he's like, I wonder if Wilson Contreras is still going to be on my team. It's still going to be on my team after 5 p.m. And obviously that happened. So that's just a guy. He another guy that talks about how Wilson Contreras he kind of looks up to Wilson Contreras. Wilson, and he knows Wilson's the kind of leader the clubhouse needs and kind of deserves. So that's one thing that he mentioned, just that getting the opportunity to really work with Wilson outside of just off-season training and stuff, but really in season and kind of seeing how he goes about his business.
I saw that our pitch doctor, Brendan Miller, was quick to jump on the evaluation of Castro, calling him a Rowan Wick work in progress. Wick, another converted catcher, saying that their axes or something like that are similar.
Hey.
I don't know what that means, but the pitch doctor says, he's similar to Wick. Well, that'd be great if you could pick up someone like Rowan Wick for nothing.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I think I'm a little surprised by it, but in terms of they just picked him up and then, called him up when they got some other guys in Iowa, but maybe they're waiting on those guys in Iowa for after they have to make all those roster crunches. I don't know, or maybe till September. I don't know, but yeah, I mean that I'm at this point in the season, it's cool. Like, whatever. Let's see what happens. Let's roll the dice. Let's see if we can find a reliever version of Arrieta through the waiver wires. I don't know.
Just another new arm that you probably will see a few times.
Yeah.
I would think before the end of the season they'll give him a couple shots.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, I think we should all at least be intrigued for every new arm that the Cubs call up or bring up, because like they've proven that they can just find some guys and give them the opportunity, and some have worked out, some haven't. Daniel Norris, great example, and the ones who have worked out, Scott Efros, great example. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That led to a really good prospect. So a guy like this, obviously there's a reason that the Giants, let him go, but The Cubs saw something, and there's no pressure on him to, be elite or anything. So hopefully we can work on some things, and we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what are we going to be about, guys? What have I said all season? It's about exploring now. Trade deadline's gone. It's about the race to 63.
The race to 63, baby.
And exploring and evaluating the second half of the season, which brings us to our second topic. How do they get playing time for all these guys? Because now it seems like you have a little bit of a logjam, and Jack Brown is saying that on the chat, how the Cubs going to allocate playing time with all the young players that they now have that need plate appearances. And we mentioned in the post-game show yesterday, Madrigal's back on the roster. You've added McKinstry. Simmons will come back from injury eventually. Hayward will eventually you'll have to do something about. What do you do with Ortega? What do you do with Schwindel? What do you do with a lot of guys at AAA that deserve a look here in the second half of the season?
Absolutely.
More than just a minor league look, deserve a major league look. And for the chat, yes, Perel, Door, 133, 63 wins. That's what we are talking about. Avoiding 100 losses.
We're avoiding 100 losses. See, Corey's in the chat. He's disappointed we're not wearing the same shirts today.
Shane says, "What up, my Stuckies?" Mm-hmm. So that's the question, Ryan. Where do you see some of these guys? How are they going to get enough? Specifically, the position players first in the at-bats. How are they going to get guys enough at-bats to evaluate them so they have a much better idea going into spring training next year?
Yeah, well, I know Ross kind of talked about not like that specifically, but he and his versatility, and you see the fact that now the Cubs have a guy that could give Patrick Wisdom more days off. Wisdom's been used probably I don't have the number in front of me, but probably the most of any player on the team. Maybe Nico Horner's got to beat in that, but Patrick Wisdom just does play a lot. So McKinstry's ability to play those positions on the left side can give a Wisdom a day off, can help people move things around so Nico can get a day off here and there. That helps, especially with Simmons still on the IL. If he comes back and remains with the team moving forward, that remains to be seen. But I'm curious, especially in the outfield. There are definitely some outfield guys down there. Talk about North Chisholm Crook, Jackson Frazier. I know Cody's been pounding the table to see some Jackson Frazier all year. He never really got that chance beginning of the season. So if he comes back up, you obviously hope he does get that chance. That remains to be seen. But I don't know. It's one of those things where, again, the trade deadline and the lack of movement kind of caught us off guard. I think we were all expecting, Ian Happ to kind of open a spot in the outfield. Rafael Ortega maybe was more of a 50-50, but he could have easily been traded and opened a spot in the outfield, right? Especially left-handed. So that those two moves not being made, and there's just that logjam still out there in the outfield somehow for a team that's won 41 games.
I don't even think them keeping Happ and Contreras is the logjam. I think it's the fact that they kept that Schwindel and Ortega and even Wisdom
McKinstry.
Again, when they traded for McKinstry, in a way, it kind of was like the writing on the wall that maybe Happ was on the way out.
Especially because you have Madrigal coming back too. You have a lot of guys that are, on the infield looking for at bats.
Exactly.
I was talking about the outfield specifically.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not so Contreras, Wisdom, whatever. I'm talking about the outfield specifically. Like those two spots of Happ and Ortega, and especially with Hayward still on the IL. Kind of no timeline there. Those are more outfield spots that would have been open this week had the trades and movement gone down. And there's some outfielders down in AAA that could use him. Brennan Davis, he's supposed to be starting, playing in ACL games in the next couple weeks. If he gets through AAA, is healthy, performs. Maybe he gets a cup of coffee at the end of the year. That's another guy that maybe they want to see that won't come up and get all the playing time in the world because of, again, the slog jam in the outfield. So, I'm just talking about the outfield specifically. If you look at the infield, like McKinstry can play 3 different positions on the infield. Wisdom can move third to first. Nico, shortstop second, can probably play some third. Nick Madrigal is probably stuck at second, but He's still kind of working his way back from injury, so he's gonna should probably have a couple rest days here and there more often as he kind of works his way back. I don't know. It's again, we said it yesterday, that the fact that this team has another roster crunch when they've won like 41 games, I think 42 games, doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but that's kind of the way it is, and so they're definitely going to have to do some maneuvering to, get some of these, to do what Luke says, to explore some of these guys.
Yeah,
some more roster, saw it like 2 months ago.
It's just frustrating because, like, again, I don't really think that it would have been a problem with Happ and Contreras on this roster. Either way, what I'm saying is the fact that they didn't move Ortega, that Simmons is still there, Wisdom, like
somebody's got to get DFA.
None of those guys were going to be part of the future, and the fact that they didn't move them, I mean, I know you want to move them for value, but man, like, do you really feel like they're going to be part of the next great Cubs team? And like, no, they don't. And now you're going to have to DFA, and you're not going to get anything for him. Like, I don't know, man. Like, I'd rather get something for those guys specifically, whether it is just like a similar trade to the Dixon Machado trade or whatever. Like, I don't even care. Like, because at this point, these last 60 games or whatever it is, getting at bats for all these young dudes is significantly important. It is. I don't care how bad this team is, because at least if you get whoever all these at bats, you at least go into the offseason with some sort of idea of who could be on, who could play center next year, who's playing third, who's playing second, and it helps you evaluate in free agency a little bit better as well.
Yeah, or at least you give some of these young guys a major league foundation to build their offseason from.
Absolutely,
like, whether it's successful or not, they have a baseline that they can then go from and look at in the offseason with some of their goals. Now, Lucas on the chat brings up a great point that with some of the young guys, whether it's infield, outfield, or pitcher, the Cubs front office does have to consider who's Rule 5 draft guy. Like, some guys may not be as high up on the list as getting close to the majors, but you may have to get a look at them faster before you lose them, potentially. So there's a lot of things that kind of factor into it. I still don't think that Jason Hayward's going to be DFA'd.
No, it feels like they would have done that already, right?
Yeah, to me, that's going to lead to the biggest uprising of the entire season is if Hayward starts taking at bats from potential guys that have had real nice seasons at the minor league level and could be playing some games in the outfield. So it's just something to keep an eye on. I don't think he's going to be DFA'd. I don't know if this injury or whatever is going on is going to continue, if that's how they're going to play it out, or if he is coming back to the roster and he's actually going to play games and take at bats away from guys. The
dude's been hanging out in the dugout, looks perfectly fine. I don't even think he's hurt. No one thinks he's actually hurt.
But how long, if that's true, how long can that charade continue before Major League Baseball is like,
I don't know.
I don't know the answer either. It's just something to keep an eye on.
Cody sounds like a conspiracy theorist over there. But no,
Well, after I had to hear it all yesterday, might as well be one today. I don't care.
No,
whatever.
Regardless, I think anyone hoping or assuming Jason Hayward's going to get DFA'd is just kind of holding their breath at this point. Like, if it happens, okay, it happens, but I'm not expecting it to happen at all anytime this year.
Right, and if it comes down to the last 2 weeks of the season, well, they're certainly not going to do it, because what does it matter if you get some guy 2 at bats? So, like, and in general, the whole thing about getting guys playing time at the end of the season, it does lead to some evaluation. At the same time, what Ryan talks about with the, a roster crunch for a team that could lose 100 games, we're probably making too much of it. Like, if guys are good, the cream will rise to the top, whether it's fall ball, spring training, Cactus League action. You'll finally have a real spring. You'll be able to work with the guys in the off season more than you would. So there'll be some opportunities, but I would like to see some at bats. And I know Niren's been pushing one thing for the outfield because Happ is still here. Maybe you try Happ at some different positions. Maybe you try to get more flexibility out of him to give yourself a reason to look into that possible extension. Don't know if that's coming for either guy, but Nairn would like to see him play at first base to open up that opportunity for a lot of guys that have performed pretty well in outfield positions in the minor league system.
Right. Well, first base is like the biggest alarming issue with the Cubs this on a consistent basis this season, because Schwindel has not been good, and Rivas, even though he's young, he clearly looks like a guy that at best can come off your bench. At least at this point, in my opinion.
Good defensively.
Right.
Yeah.
He's solid defensively, but he just doesn't have the power that you need or that you want from first base. And yeah. But he makes contact and he gives you a good at bat. So it's not like I'm saying he's awful or anything. I think he's a very solid depth piece on a major league roster. But yeah, I mean, I don't blame people for wanting to see Matt Mervis. I don't blame people for wanting to maybe move Ian Happ over to first and see if he can do some time over there. If you want to keep playing Wisdom, okay, put him over at first and play, Morel at third and put Velasquez out in center. I don't know. Velasquez is the biggest example to me. This guy had a great, minor, second half of minor league season last year, played insane at the fall league, and then it took them forever to even call him up this year. And they finally do it, but they're not playing him every day. And I'm just, I don't get it. So, that's kind of what's the most frustrating thing to me about this whole situation, because the Cubs did it to themselves, and now they're stuck with, they're going to have to DFA some guys. And when you could have moved those guys for whatever. I understand not moving Contreras and Happ for whatever, but those guys, I don't know. I don't get it. The more that the deadline has passed, that's what I've thought about a lot more than the fact that they kept Contreras and Happ.
We should, if we were local news back in the local news days that I'd had, this would be an over-the-shoulder graphic that'd be sitting over the anchor's shoulder, and we should have titled it "Miley, Smiley, and Simmons." Oh my!
Yeah.
What do you start to do with some of these guys that just are not part of the future? Sure, they might help you win more games, but it's just not relevant.
Yeah.
And I know you don't want to tell young players we don't care about winning games, because that's not a message you want to send either. But
right.
I would rather see some guys pitch than Miley or Smiley.
Smiley is another one that you're surprised that they didn't move, because he's got playoff experience, blah, blah, blah.
Even if it wasn't for the playoffs, I'm surprised some team wasn't like, hey, we could use him on a sixth day when we've got a doubleheader or something. Maybe he gets us one extra win where somebody else wouldn't.
Bullpen guy, wouldn't he? He was a bullpen guy for the Braves during their playoff run last year. He could have been a very versatile pitcher for them, doing whatever a team needed. And I'm surprised that they just did not move him at all.
So, I mean, Corey nails it here. Simmons, there is no place on this roster for Andrelton Simmons this year.
No.
There isn't. He should have been DFA'd months ago.
I'm stunned he wasn't DFA'd today.
There's no place on the roster for him. And this is a great point by Corey. Morel has, when he's played in the infield, he's been pretty damn good. Have him back him up if Horner gets injured or something. There's no need for Simmons on this roster.
Right. No, I absolutely agree. If there's anything Cubs fans will agree with, it's that Andrelton Simmons should not be on this roster. And that Jason Hayward should be DFA'd.
That's a united front. Usually.
That will unite Cubs fans. That will definitely unite Cubs fans.
That and a good trough will unite Cubs fans.
Yeah.
Little Yumper from the top rope here. Watch the Cubs sign Abreu in the offseason to fix their first base needs.
Oh, my gosh.
No, don't do it.
Just signing a – how old is he? 35, 36?
Potentially 53. I don't know.
I was waiting for you to make that joke.
Cody, make any bet? I know this game didn't get played, but did you have any wagers going tonight?
Well, I had a hit parlay set up. It involved Goldschmidt, Mookie Betts, some guy from the Rockies that hits really well against who they were playing, and someone else. But since the Cardinals Cubs game got postponed, that bet got voided. So that was all. I was trying to kind of not think too much, because all those guys I just picked, they hit pretty well. And well, anyway, so yeah, I don't really have much going on tonight. I'm really excited for football season. When we get to football season, you're
gonna be amped.
I'm gonna be. Oh, you're gonna see a new side of me that you've never seen.
Did
before,
we decide if there's gonna be a fantasy football league here?
It was a lot of talk. There's still time. We could totally
it could still happen. It's just somebody's got to take it by the reins. Who wants to be in charge? Not me.
Yeah, not me either.
I don't want to be commissioner.
Yeah. Anyway, let us know who should be commissioner. I think it should be Jake or Kevin. Thank you. And not Kevin, our producer, but Kevin Cato.
Yeah, go ahead.
What's wrong with me?
Well, if you want to do it.
I don't want to do it.
And
I'm already commissioning another.
Nobody ever wants to be commissioner in the league.
No, it's too hard.
Especially not Jock Peterson.
Yeah. Absolutely.
We should contact Jock Peterson and see if he'll be the commissioner of our league. For like a 6-pack or something.
Yeah.
Chicago sports fans, your home for the best Chicago sports coverage, is partnering with a leader in sports merchandise and collectibles. CHGO has teamed up with FOCO to secure your access to the best collectibles and gear around, whether it's Bears, Cubs, White Sox, Blackhawks, Bulls. FOCO will have something for you, your kid, a friend, or a loved one. Looking for some new gear, collectibles, or accessories? FOCO is officially licensed gear for men, women, kids, everything from bobbleheads to swimsuits and Crocs. That's right. If Cody's looking for that cubby thong, he's got one now. FOCO has you covered with the best Chicago merchandise for your favorite team. Head on over to FOCO.com. Click the link below in the YouTube description. For all non-presale items, use the promo code CHGO for 10% off. What do you think would be the most random thing we could find there right now? Is like since the trade deadline. You think there's like a Michael Gibbons bobblehead or a?
We do know
they have everything.
We have talked about the Matt Schwarmer bobblehead.
Yes, and I believe the giveaway this Friday at Wrigley Field. Maybe it's Monday. One of these upcoming
Saturday.
days.
It's Saturday.
Well, no, the Madrigal bobblehead?
Yeah, the Madrigal bobblehead.
Is this Saturday?
Saturday, yeah.
I mean, FOCO's going to be selling those, I would hope.
Yeah. Also,
I think Sunday's a Cubs Hawaiian shirt too. So
you'll be home. You'll be home, Ryan.
I might have to make sure I'm there.
Also, I didn't read the PointsBet ad. You just kind of.
Oh, we'll continue. I'm sorry. I
didn't even read any of it at all.
Well, you got started talking about bets, and I was like, better get to FOCO.
You're making my job hard over here.
Yeah, it should be focus is what it should stand for.
As everyone knows, the best way to support CHGO is to download the PointsBet app, and that's why I brought it up, so everyone can know that if they didn't know. And use code CHGO when you sign up. If you do that right now, you get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000, but that's not it. If you make a $50 or more first-time deposit, you receive a free CHGO membership, which unlocks all of our web content, and you even get a free shirt of your choice from the CHGO locker. That's $2,000 in free bets, a free CHGO membership, and a free T-shirt from CHGO locker, all for making a $50 or more first-time deposit at PointsBet. If you have any questions, you can email pointsbet@allchgo.com, and we'll help you out. You're home for live in-play betting. Just got even better. See an edge in the game you are watching. Is your favorite team primed for a comeback? Don't just watch the game. Bet along with it live. More live betting, more live markets, and faster live cash outs. I'm telling you, when the Cubs lead, you live bet the opponent. You'll probably win some money. Follow along with your bets the moment they hit. Stay in the live action all game long. Download the PointsBet app right now and use promo code CHGO. So what are you waiting for? It's time to elevate your live betting game. Once the game starts, don't just bet. Live your bet life with PointsBet. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLING for crisis counseling and referral services.
See, that was worth a dramatic wait and pause. That's all we gave it, was just a little time to breathe, and then we went back to it. And a reminder to everybody that watches or listens to this podcast, I'm a 66 percentile winner.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah. You have more.
I mean, who can say that around the country? 66% of my bets are winners.
Yeah. You're
I don't do as well.
You have a better winning percentage than me over the last 2 weeks.
A little over 66%.
You said 66%. By that you mean 2 out of 3?
That's right. Yeah.
There you
Close.
Go. Okay. Hey.
Close.
Hey,
I don't math it. It's around 66%.
Yeah, there you go.
Ryan, I was going to ask you real quick, like, you're driving back from St. Louis. What has been your favorite part about St. Louis, and what have you enjoyed on the ride? Because I remember a lot of Blackhawks trips to St. Louis for hockey games back and forth, and all I remember is a lot of the rest stops were a lot of condom machines and Drakkar cologne machines in the bathrooms wherever you stopped on the way there.
So I do my best not to stop. Like
you powered through.
The Yeah, just power through it. Well, this last time I was low on gas when I left. I stopped in like Springfield, Illinois, like by that Shell. You'll see like a Shell off the highway, and it's like a block away from the highway. So I just got on
I
there
know
real
exactly
quick.
which one you're talking about.
Yeah, it's by a Hooters. By a Hooters. That's why I stopped there, just in case I get
Nice.
hungry. You know.
I'm sure it was
We'll go
because
with-
in case you get hungry. Yeah.
So he didn't power
Exactly.
through necessarily.
yeah.
He stopped.
Well, I didn't stop. I didn't stop at the Hooters, but I'm like, I'll stop, and then like if I feel a little rumbling in my tummy, I'll hop on over to Hooters and get some
Right.
wings. My favorite part of St. Louis is, I don't know, like there's the Horseshoe Casino is not too far from my hotel.
The
That's good,
Lumiere
man.
is a nice casino. It's right there, right downtown.
The
Oh,
Arch?
yeah.
Have you ever done the Arch? Have you gone up in the Arch?
I did the Arch a long time ago. I think looking at the Arch from like a distance is a lot better than like
Me
Can
too.
you,
I'd rather
the
see it from a
Arch.
distance. I don't need to ever go up in it.
There's at Ballpark Village. There's a bar called PBR, and they got a mechanical
Yeah.
bull ride in there.
Mm.
I've been in there a few times with when I was in college with some buddies. I did not ride the bull.
That
Sounds like-
seems like a GIF we could get a hold of somewhere.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to
Yeah.
encourage
Video.
Ryan to go ride
Yeah.
the bull. You know what I mean?
It sounds like Cody doesn't think St. Louis is boring.
I don't go there very often for obvious reasons. I've found ways to be entertained in St. Louis way too many times.
You don't need to do the Arch. I'll be honest. It's
Yeah.
very over.
I'm
It takes
with you.
forever to get up there.
I
and
would never go up it.
Yeah.
You don't see anything when
The
you get up
park
there.
is nice. You go to the bottom, you see how big it is. You're like, oh, that's kind of cool. Then
Yeah.
you leave.
And look
It
at a
also
couple tall
shakes.
buildings.
It also shakes because it's like the base isn't so sturdy. It's just
Yeah.
a freaking arch standing in the sky.
Claustrophobic. It seems like a COVID nightmare too. Just
That's the thing, they
breathe,
stuff you
everybody
in.
breathing up in that arch together.
Yeah.
They stuff you into these tiny cars and
See,
ride
that's
all
what
the
I'm
way up
saying.
there. It's not fun.
They
I
should
don't
call it the COVID Arch now in St. Louis.
Lucas says his favorite part of St. Louis is leaving it. So
It's fair.
There you
Niran
go.
says he's been up it. It's overrated. Thank you. So the Brewers were a team that made some moves, right? They traded Hader, which caught some people by surprise.
yep.
Not necessarily giving up, but then one of the guys they got back for Hayward or for Hader is gone already.
Yeah, Dinelson, is that how you say his name?
Danielson,
Dinelson, maybe.
Dinelson.
Danielson,
Lem-
Lamette, something like that.
Thank you. Thank
Okay.
you, Ryan.
And he's
Yeah.
gone already.
Yes, they just DFA'd him today.
So that was a great deal.
And so like their vice president of baseball operations, David Stearns, said that he was this is his quote, he said Dinelson was a good arm and was included in the trade to help balance out the deal. As transactions played out, the roster fit became a little tougher. We are hopeful we will be able to keep him in our system. So it's almost like they just didn't keep track of how many arms they have on their in their system or something. I don't know. Like Lamette was really good in like that shortened 2020 season. I know he's had some issues since then, but that's a guy that's not going to make it through, in my opinion. Like the Brewers aren't going to get him outrighted to AAA or anything like that.
Think the Cubs make a play there?
I think they should. I mean, why not? Like,
Just to rub it in the Brewers' face. you
yeah,
do
just
it.
to have something to rub in their face, and then also like the issues he's had, just get him in the pitch lab. Let their people do the thing that they do, and if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But like, I think it's worth like trying.
Lucas saying he was being included in early trade talks after the lockout when we started talking about Hosmer.
Yeah.
But that was a guy that was mentioned.
I will say again, he does have like one of the dirtiest sliders you'll see. It's a lot of swing and miss. I mean, I think it was 50% last time I checked. Whenever we did the last show that I was there, it's a slider, whatever loads. It has a 50% whiff rate still this year. So
Yeah.
Which doctor's going to love
Yeah.
that.
That
That's what I'm
2020
saying.
season, he had 12 starts, had a 2.09 earn run average during those starts, and had a 34.8% strikeout rate. His walk rate was 7.5, but I mean that's
Now-
pretty good for those 12 starts and like in that sample size. So if
yeah, just like
the
the
Cubs-
thing is, he's been pretty bad this year. Like
Yeah.
9.49 ERA in 12 innings. Like it's obviously
In
not
the
been
lab.
good. But yeah,
Get him in the lab.
Get him in the lab. There's been stuff there's been
lab,
days
yeah.
that he's there. There's been years that he's had that were good. So get him in with Hottovy and Moskis. Moskis, the slider whisperer, I guess. Just kind of see what you can get out of him if that's a move the Cubs decide to make.
I'm for it.
Yeah.
I'm for it. We mentioned yesterday in the post-game show, we had a lot going on. We were talking a little bit about the game, a lot about the trade stuff. It happened at the very end of the show, Vin Scully passing away. What is your favorite memory of Vin Scully doing baseball? I think most people believe Vin Scully is the greatest baseball broadcaster of all time, although he did multiple sports. He did football. He did all kinds of stuff. But, like, Dodgers baseball is what most people know him for, but he was national baseball. What's your favorite memories of Vin Scully? Because he's not just another broadcaster. He's the pinnacle. He's probably the best of all time.
I mean, that Kirk Gibson walk-off. Yeah. I think that one sticks out the most for me, at least. Yeah, man. I think you said it last night, Luke. It's something we all sit here in today's days and complain on social media about certain broadcasts and. Yeah. Like, I mean, shit. Like
it doesn't matter which broadcast, if it's national, local.
Yeah.
Somebody always hates somebody. That's just the way the world is. I don't know if that's just because of Twitter and social media, but you'll always run into somebody like, I don't like that guy or that girl or whatever. I've never heard anybody say anything negative about Vin Scully's broadcasting
Absolutely.
ever.
Yeah.
Anywhere.
Like, that's very telling. And, yeah, I mean.
Well, and Oh, go ahead. Yeah, get on this one.
I was all.
No, go ahead, Ryan.
Go ahead, Ryan.
You're good. I was gonna say, someone mentioned earlier that there's like a picture kind of going around. I haven't seen it, but like Vin Scully ice skating with Jackie Robinson.
Wow.
And then you think you just kind of think about baseball history. Oh yeah, Rossi talked about this too. Towards the end of his career, going up, giving Scully giving Scully the 67, the number from the scoreboard, the Dodgers flag. He talked about that, and obviously David Ross was his first 3 years in the big leagues. I want to say was out in LA, so he got to know Scully a little bit out there. But he kind of said, or you kind of think about it, how when did Vin Scully kind of leave broadcasting full time? It was 16, 17, something like that.
Yeah, it was 2015, and then 2016 he only did home games.
Yeah, switched to home games.
So it's like you think about that. What I mentioned about the Jackie Robinson picture, him with Jackie Robinson. You kind of think like, oh man, like that was so long ago. And then he's also calling David Ross's name in the early 2000s. He's calling Justin Turner's name not even 6-7 years ago. Like, this guy really has seen it all in terms of like baseball. Obviously he didn't see it the early 20s, whatever, but just like that's a long life to live in general, but a long baseball life. Like, he saw from the integration of the game, breaking the color barrier, to in the Cubs. He saw the Cubs break the World Series, the 108-year World Series drought. Like, he's seen all these different things. That's a legend. I like Pat Hughes' quote. This is kind of like as kind of icons of the game. Like, there's no broadcaster that really matches up. I know, as Cubs people, Cubs fans will Harry has a statue outside of Wrigley Field. Like, that's an icon in Chicago lore. But Vin Scully is kind of just an icon in baseball. Like, that's just kind of the life he lived and the legacy that he leaves behind.
I mean, he did the great catch, 49ers Cowboys. What Ryan is talking about is simply longevity at the highest level of his profession. Nobody's done it like Vin, and he did it for the Dodgers for 67 years. Can you imagine keeping the same job for 67 years and not only that, being able to keep the job for 67 years in any profession? I don't even know what to say about that. Imagine somebody doing a job for 67 years and then to do it at the highest level. not just get complacent and start going through the motions of doing it. Like, he was a wordsmith. He painted a picture down to the last game that he was doing. Like, he didn't tail off at the end. You know, he would come to Wrigley Field and still be sharp, just as sharp as he was on the Gibson call or Jackie Rob or any of the great. I heard him on a radio clip they did today of him doing Doug Buffon playing for the Bears.
Yeah.
Doug Buffon. Like, you think about how long, 67 years for one job and to be the best. I mean, truly amazing. He has a unique voice that when you hear the voice, you know exactly who it is. And it's funny because I think most young broadcasters coming up now, if you heard that voice and you didn't know anything about sports, the first reaction would be, it's kind of sing-song. Like, it's kind of a sing-songy voice. And yet he turned his own voice, instead of it being just some fake broadcasting voice that he came up with. It was his voice, the way he spoke. It was a little roller coastery, like I said, a little sing-songy. It became kind of the underscore, right, is what they call a song for like a movie. That's what it came for baseball. Like, his voice became the voice of baseball. You heard his voice, you knew you were watching a baseball game.
He was in movies, right? Like, his voice was in movies.
Oh,
right?
yeah, he's in all kinds. I mean,
like
all kinds of stuff. And just, I only met him a few times, but just a super nice guy, just the short interactions, even in just like the Cubs cafeteria, like getting a pop, like, you know, going to get something to drink in between innings and then going back because he's calling the game by himself. Just a super nice, you know, at the time, a super nice old man who happened to be the greatest at what he did. I saw Bob Costas on MLB Network today getting choked up and crying about it, talking about his relationship with his wife and how great he was and how anybody that's ever gone into baseball broadcasting as a play-by-play person, everybody wants, it's not, I want to be this person or this, it's, they all want to be Vin Scully.
Yeah. That's just a
casual.
respect.
I love Luke just casually mentioning that he met Vin Scully a couple times. Just whatever. He just met him a couple times.
I mean, I'm not talking about like I'm not saying I went to dinner with Vin Scully. I'm saying I was in a cafeteria and he'd come in and get a drink and go out. Yeah. And I interviewed him once about a Dodgers-Cubs series. And it's one of those things where, as a reporter, and at that time a young reporter, you go up to Vin Scully and you're like, what the heck, I'm going to ask Vin Scully. But you ask him something in the press box and you're like, you get done and you go home and you're like, did I really talk to Vin Scully today? You know, like,
yeah,
that wasn't just like, you know, I didn't go talk to Marlon Byrd today. I talked to Vin freaking Scully. Like,
yeah, a guy who was a major voice in two cities, and it's crazy, you know.
He was awesome.
LA. Yeah.
And the thing about the Gibson home run that's so amazing is that his call is super famous, and the other call is Jack Buck, who's another broadcasting legend. Both calls are probably like top 10 sportscasting calls of all time, and they're the same play by two different legends. Yeah. And they're both different, you know? Mm-hmm. I think somebody said on the chat, like, he did the Buckner. It gets through Buckner.
Gets through Buckner.
Yeah. You know?
I had ESPN on. I had ESPN on yesterday, and it was like, obviously, you know, a lot of Vin Scully, you know, his famous quotes and his famous calls and stuff like that. But ESPN was showing stuff, and I'm like, there's still ones that I'm like, oh my God, like, I've heard that a million times. I didn't even know it was Vin Scully. Like, it's kind of like you don't think about is how, again, iconic he is in the game. And like another quote from David Ross, just real quick. He said, you know, Vin Scully is just one of those staples. It's a sad day, not too many days that the announcer of a team passes and it hits you in the heart. I think Vin is one of those guys. Like, it's just, yeah, I mean, that's a guy that, you know, Ross kind of worked with in LA 20 years ago, but just obviously a big part of baseball. Lived a long life, 95, I want to say it was. You know, saw a lot of things in 94, 94, 95, and lived a long life, saw a lot of things in baseball, and, you know, definitely a legend in this game.
Who did I just see say? I thought that was funny. Lucas says, if I pick one person to read my eulogy or narrate it, would be Vin Scully. Yeah. I mean, Vin Scully could just do
I would say Morgan Freeman.
Morgan Freeman's great. Yeah, he's great for any of that stuff. But Vin Scully would be a voice that you could. Yeah, just a beautiful voice and a great talent for knowing when to stop talking, and then also finding words that other people wouldn't use that happen to be the perfect word for that situation. He just had
the Gibson call, like knowing when to speak, was like perfect because he hit it and said what happened. Then he let the crowd talk, and then he was like, in a season of probable, the impossible has happened.
Yeah.
And like it, I'm not even a Dodgers fan, and like that gives me chills. So
I think he said, I believe the lead up to it when he came to play is, "Look who's coming up." Right now, if somebody else, a broadcaster today, said it that way, to just be like, who is this goofball? You know?
Yeah.
But Vin Scully said it, and it was just like perfect. You know? So rest in peace, Vin Scully. Points bet pick of the week, Cody. What do you have for us?
Ooh, well, Cubs Cardinals doubleheader tomorrow, Luke. I mean, I don't think the lines are out yet, so I'm probably avoiding it. But I will say that with Stroman starting one of those games, I think Nick G says that he's starting game 1. I kind of like him, and I'm liking the strikeouts. He's been very good since he came back. The Cardinals, never forget, were one of the teams in the running for Stroman in the offseason. I don't know. I feel like he gets up for these like kind of games where fan bases get mad at him.
Yep.
Like he does. He's one of those like, and I took that personally thing. Again, I don't know the lines yet, but it's something I'm going to be looking at tomorrow whenever I wake up. So I'm kind of liking the over on Stroman strikeouts, depending on whatever the line ends up being. But I think he's going to give the Cubs a good start tomorrow because he's been pitching really well of late.
Isn't Quintana supposed to start tomorrow?
Yeah, I was going to say it's supposed to be Steele in that first game, I assume, and then Stroman versus Quintana.
No,
game 2, right?
Steele starts pushed back to Friday.
Oh, it is pushed back. So who's game 1?
Stroman.
Stroman's up to game 1 against.
Yeah, they moved Steele to Friday.
So is Quintana still with Stroman?
I'm not sure.
Because the matchup was supposed to be Stroman-Quintana.
I can try and look it up, see if they have it updated.
If it's still Stroman-Quintana, Cody, you've seen what kind of revenge
my live bet the Cardinals tomorrow, just because, don't get me started, guys. But
Quintana revenge game.
Yeah, Quintana revenge game. You just know it. And makes me sick to my stomach, guys. Makes me stick to my stomach. Okay, no, game 2, at least on MLB.com, they have Stroman going up against Quintana in game 2. Game 1 still says to be announced.
No, Stroman's game 1.
So now Stroman is game 1. That's what I'm saying. I don't know if the Cardinals will do the same thing.
Here it
move
is.
Quintana.
Michaelis gets game 1. Quintana goes game 2. That according to Katie Wu of The Athletic for St. Louis.
Okay.
So they're keeping their guys the same.
Yep.
All right.
They're keeping their guys the same. All right. Well, it'd be interesting to see him pitch against the Cubs, and regardless of who he's going against. By the way,
is it going to be interesting, Luke?
Not really, but I'm trying to say something, Cody.
I'm just like
trying to give you something to watch. Maybe Wisniewski will be called up and start. No,
I just don't want to watch Jose Quintana continue to be good against the Cubs. It just disgusts me. It really does. It's not even because he's going to be in a Cardinals uniform now. He did it with the Pirates too. He pitched well against the Cubs against the Pirates this year.
That's true.
It's like so annoying. It makes me more upset than the trade itself that happened.
Michael Collada, our captain of negativity, as Ernie Banks would say, let's lose 2 tomorrow.
That's new. I like that.
That's the first time he's thrown that one at us. Yeah. And I was thinking one more thing about Vin Scully. Cody, in 66 years, when you're doing this podcast without us, can you imagine? Can you imagine being here 66 years later, still doing the same podcast?
Oh man, how old? I'm 31 years old, man. I'm gonna be like
waiting for the Cubs to win another World Series in your lifetime.
Michael Culata, whoever screwed
up.
We better
have
the
bar by then, at least.
Whoever screwed up in that Brewers front office, Ricketts will hire him, Michael Culotta.
Some things never change. Yeah.
What? I want to know what would make Michael Culotta happy. Like, what would get him to come into this chat and like just be spewing positivity?
Yes.
Like, what's it
Michael, if
gonna
you're
take?
out there, what would it take for us to get Happy Michael on a podcast one day? Just on the chat to join in and just bring us a breath of positivity into the podcast.
Yeah. I like some of the names we've seen the last couple of days, some new names.
We do have a lot of new names the last few days.
Yeah, Jordo. That's a new name.
Shane and Joel are always there.
Yeah, Shane and Joel are always here.
I don't know if I've seen Raul.
A few other names as well.
CM Kolek.
I've seen him in here before. It's not every day, but I've seen him in here. EJ Thunder. I see Charlie Ruby on CHGO bets all the time.
Niren's always here.
Oh yeah, Niren.
Okay, Niren.
Niren's always here. Corey
Where's-
says spin
where's
zone.
Robbie?
Nico Horner's the fourth. Nico Horner the fourth will be a great shortstop for the Cubs 60 years from now. Did Jack R hack Corey's YouTube account?
Where is I just realized Ravi's not here tonight.
No.
Yeah, he's
Might be too
smoking
early for Robbie.
a bowl at home right now. He's probably blazed out of his mind. He's like, oh, the Cubs game got postponed. They're not doing a show. He's just vibing wherever he's at right now, I bet.
Maybe he's watching like a marquee rerun, thinking it's the live game. Not knowing
I
the
believe
thing.
right after the game was called, the Carlos Zambrano story was running.
Oh, it's not Cubs countdown like
No,
best,
it's,
like third baseman of in Cubs history?
cornerstones, I think they call it. Carlos Zambrano story. I think we're good. We'll play a couple games tomorrow. Corey and Brendan will have the series wrap once the day is finished. We'll be back on Friday for a post-game show. And we don't have to talk constantly about who might or might not be traded anymore. Now we can just, after end every podcast, talking about, do you think they'll sign an extension or offer an extension?
And we can't even talk about free agency yet because we have to find things to talk about in the offseason.
It's all about getting these guys a little playing time, exploring and evaluating.
Now it's, I guess, the new tweets. Instead of trade value tweets, the new tweets will be so-and-so future with Cubs, stock up or stock down.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Stock up, stock down. And also maybe we should do Ryan might be thinking this. I think we should have the countdown to 63.
Yeah.
A magic number for 63. Like how close to 63? How many more to go?
Please. 63 wins is not much to ask, man.
We couldn't afford to have this game completely knocked off the schedule today. Good thing they had a doubleheader because you have to have every opportunity possible.
Yeah.
You can't just
and
have.
Shane said in the chat earlier, I think it was Shane, he said that Sandy Alcantara for the Marlins pitched a complete game today. So if he pitched today, probably not going to have to face him. Maybe on Sunday they would have to face him. Maybe. But like I doubt they will. So there's a positive sign for maybe a win or two against the Marlins.
That's this weekend, right?
Yeah, at home.
Yep.
Yeah, back at Wrigley Field. Beautiful, historic.
Holly time.
Yeah.
Hollinsworth.
Michael Culotta, hire someone who knows how to draft, get an owner who doesn't cry broke or lie to the fans. That's for starters.
We can't
All
do
right,
that
thank
for
you,
you.
Michael.
We can't do that for you, Michael.
Get someone who knows how to draft. All right. Well,
We're
okay,
working on it. We're working on it. One thing at a time.
I will say that to go off that, if some of the guys from this year's draft turn out to be really good for the Cubs, whenever we get to that moment, you have to at least acknowledge that you were wrong. That's all I'm asking.
Niren says we need to get a cardboard cutout of Ricketts like the movie Major League.
Oh no. The bots
With
are
that,
here.
the nude bots have arrived on the
Yeah,
chat.
nude
So that's a
bots are
perfect
here.
time to say goodnight. Ryan, safe travels. We'll see you back here.
Monday.
Yes. Well, Monday.
Well, you'll be at the
What's
ballpark on
No,
Friday, right?
I'll be at the ballpark. No, Jared will be on Friday, so he'll be hopping in with you guys, and then
Okay.
because the night that's one thing I want to. We still this is my beef. What the hell are we doing having a Thursday night game on the road into a day game on Friday. Doesn't make
Yeah,
any
it's a
sense.
brutal turnaround.
It's
Well,
terrible. So thankfully, Jared.
You can't
Jared
change
scored.
tradition. Friday 1:20. Just saying. It's what it is.
Well,
now.
I'm just saying the getaway day for the Cardinals to have a night game. Like, it was scheduled as a night game. Didn't make any sense. But thankfully, we got Jared. Jared's going to help me out.
Have
Well,
fun in the arch.
Yeah, enjoy the Hooters on the way back, and
I
we'll see you
suggest
here later in
B-dubs
the
as
week.
well.
Yeah, Cody will send you some spots on the way. He knows the route.
Unfortunately.
Thanks for dropping in to check out the CHGO Cubs podcast presented by PointsBet. Take care. We'll see you soon, and fly the W.